team is very, very, very interesting. I have quite a bit to say on them, so strap in. The ultimate underdogs, full of scrappy rookies looking to prove themselves, seemingly with no synergy, but could they pull off an upset season under Gunba? Let's see. Starting with the DPS line, they actually have something decent seemingly going on. They picked up XC, Season 3 MVP candidate and Dallas Fuel quote-unquote player, Hydron, an incredibly dominant Tracer and hitscan player from American Tornado, and Checkmate, the best Reinhardt and Owl. This is honestly a solid DPS lineup, but it's natural to be skeptical of it. XE has been explosively good in recent memories, but has not played in over a year, and Checkmate saw no playtime last year, though it was behind Yaki. I can't rate them all super highly just based on lack of playtime over the past year, but honestly, I kinda like this lineup. Checkmate I'm not very high on, even since his contenders days, but he should prove to be solid. And XE has been just pounding on ladder recently. I know ladder isn't a great way to look at a player's value, but he's really fucking good. I can't help but feel there was a reason he was not picked up until now, though. But if he can be even half of his old self, he'll be terrifying. And Hydron is nutty. No explanation needed, really. He's got an insane tracer and hitscan and is a top-tier rookie out of contenders. I'm so hyped to see him play. I'm going to go ahead and give these guys a 7 out of 10, despite the questions. XE has been pounding on ladder, and while it doesn't mean he'll be good in the league, it does indicate that his mechanics are still there. In a double hitscan or hitscan tracer meta, he'll be very strong. While I'm not high on Checkmate, he could prove to be a decent talent now that he has the time to shine. And XE Hydron is genuinely a crack duo if XE can live up to what he was before. I still say they are middling in comparison to the rest of NA. They are at the top of the lower tier, but when we get to the top lineups like Kai, Nero, Venom, Proper, Kilo, Sam, Flora, Yaki, Kevsir, and Patafan, it becomes more difficult to put your stonks in them. They are very solid. Next, the tank line. This is more questionable, but honestly, I'm hyped about it. Especially someone. But who? Well, someone. The rookie main tank out of a good year with Team CC. I'm actually pretty high on this dude. He was pretty great on Team CC recently, having a good run especially, but showing great improvement on the rest of the heroes through the season. While Doom seems to be strong, and that could be an issue for him, I feel he is overall quite well-rounded and can be a great tank for this team, though I don't expect him to be top tier. Then Adam is a great player, but I don't rate him too highly. I think he'll compete with, but will struggle against even some players in the same tier as him, such as Poco, False, Vastola. He's solid and should do well though. I'll give these guys a 6 out of 10. Somewhat is a pretty hype rookie for me, but I can't help but feel that you can't expect too many miracles out of him. And Adam is on the lower end of off tanks in my opinion. I hope they succeed though. Adam especially deserves it after being screwed out of the league last year. Next up, the supports. This is a weird lineup. In a roster full of rookie talent, this is the one place where they seem to have relied on veteran talent. And pretty mediocre or washed veteran talent at that. I love Kariv, but I have to say it, he was not very good last year. You can make the argument that Gongzo as a whole was a mess last year, but we've seen Kariv be a standout player on a bad team in 2020 Toronto, and that was not it in the charts, where supports were arguably the worst part of the team. I want to believe that he isn't washed and that he can go back to his old self, but I don't think that should be the expectation. Hanma was an interesting signing though, but I feel like he's very low impact, if you know what I mean. Very much beholden to the quality of his team. He's fine, he's kind of mediocre in my opinion though. Sermajet is an interesting prospect. He has a bunch of hype coming to the league, but frankly, I've never been that impressed with him, even after watching a lot of his contenders footage for my rookie profile series, which you should definitely check out. He seems to have great mechanics, but honestly, his game sense is lacking. The support line just seems not to fit together. Anima and Kariv are pretty mediocre from the last showings we've seen from them, and Sir Majed has potential, but I'm not that high on him. I'll give these guys a 4. On paper, maybe the worst support line of the league, except maybe London, who only have one support. Next to the coaching, we have Gunbug, McGravy, and Daiwan. This is probably the biggest source of copium for Mayhem fans. Gunba has historically had a lot of success in the league with making good rosters out of poor players on paper. He was very successful in 2020 with the LA Valiant. Despite many people, they were the worst team in the league on paper. It'll be very interesting to see if he can pull off the same miracle run this year. But, might be a bit of a hot take, but he's a bit overrated, I think. If you look at it in totality, his record isn't that impressive. Boston 2019 was a disaster, and his other good year was 2018, where his roster was already pretty stacked. And I don't think he's this miracle worker people are making him out to be. He's a great coach, don't get me wrong. McGravy and Daiwan are fine, I guess. Daiwan is kind of a bum and wasn't very good on Team CC, and McRavy is pretty unproven. I'll go ahead and give these guys a 7, maybe 7.5. Gunba ultimately does bring an unknown factor into the team, but I don't think by that much. Now, ultimately, the team on paper is pretty mediocre. Underwhelming supports, relying a lot on hidden gem rookie talent, and a middling DPS line despite great potential. But Gunba is a decent amount of hopium for fans. He's good at coaching punch-up teams and is a great coach. I could definitely see Mayhem causing a few upsets and placing themselves on the board. But honestly, I think this team is somehow overhyped. Everyone is saying that they are underrated, but if everyone thinks they're underrated, then in a way they can become overrated. Yeah, it's a bit of a boring answer, but I really don't see them performing too well. On paper, strength matters a lot more than people are talking about in terms of this team. Like, yeah, XE Hydron are great, but what happens when Decay Happy, Victorious Striker, or even Hisu Aldo just go God mode on them, while diffing their tanks and supports? I really can't see Florida making it out of the lower tier without major overperformance. But that could be on the books. Apparently they've been doing well in scrims, so I eagerly wait the Scrimbuck stock exchange. Thanks for watching, and remember to hit like and subscribe for more. I upload nearly daily Overwatch League content, and I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs by the end of Season 5, so any subscription helps greatly. Thanks.